Welcome once again, dear So Creatives, to another interesting tutorial. In this tutorial, we'll be learning how to draft this beautiful Milkmaid Bustier top. Okay, we'll also be sewing it, but in this particular video, we'll only be drafting it. So follow suit as you learn the drafting process. The first thing you need is your basic bodice front and back patterns. So in front of me, I have my basic bodice front and back patterns ready. If you do not know how to draft a basic bodice, I'll be dropping the link in the description box so that you go and learn how to draft this, okay? So that we can be on the same page. So if you are already familiar with drafting this, let's just proceed by drafting the Milkmaid Bustier top. So the first thing we want to do is to work with the front first. You get another pattern paper, place on fold, then align the center front with the folded edge of the paper this way, and then you trace out the front to get a complete front bodice. So I'll be tracing it out using my tracing wheel. Here is my tracing wheel, and I'll just trace out virtually all the lines, okay? So I'll simply trace out and then we proceed. Now here is our pattern carefully traced out. As you can see, it is on fold. So by the time I cut it out the way it is on fold, you'll see the full front, okay? So I'll simply cut it out. Tracing it out on fold is actually optional. You can decide to leave it as the half bodice and work with it. But for me, I want you to see the result in full even before we finish sewing. That's why I did mine this way. At this point, you decide where you want your Milkmaid neckline to start. For me, I'm working with 6.5. I don't want my bust area to be exposed, so 6.5 is perfect for me. You can measure this on your body to confirm where exactly you want it, okay? So I've marked my new neckline there. Next, I'll be imputing my underbust measurement. My shoulder to underbust is 13 inches, so I'm simply marking 13 inches, and then I'll take it across the bodice. Now we have our underbust line, underbust, and our overbust line, okay? Overbust, this is for you to remember. Overbust. For our basic bodies, you already know what these lines are. This is our chest line. Let's label. Okay, our chest line here is our bust line. Our bust line. So we have our under bust line now. Here is our waist and our over bust. The next thing we want to do, we want to close the bust dart. We start by closing the bust dart. So before we close the bust dart, I'm simply slashing open the waist darts so that we can easily close the bust darts. Okay, so I will now mask it down with my masking tape. Now that has been done also, so the next thing we want to do is to create our Milkmaid cups, okay? It's quite easy. So to achieve that, you start with the center front, okay? This is on the underbust line. On the center front, I'm simply marking 1.5 inches upwards, okay? You can do 1 inch, but I'm marking 1.5. Then I'll use my curved ruler to simply curve it back to touch this point, the dart point on the underbust, okay? Okay, so I've gotten the down part. I've gotten the center front of the down part. Now the next thing I want to do is to curve out the side. So to curve out the side, I'll first of all come inwards by 2 inches, okay, from the armhole area. From the armhole area, I'm simply marking 2 inches in, okay. And now I'll use my curved ruler. In the same way, I'll make sure I curve it to touch the dart leg on the underbust, okay. like this. Can you see? So I have curved out my Milkmaid. I've curved out my Milkmaid. Okay, then for the overbust area, we'll mark our cleavage. How low you want the Milkmaid to come in. You can actually leave it direct. Okay, that's also a style. You can leave it direct. But for me, I'll lower it a little by 1 inch. Okay, I'm simply blending it in with my curved roller. Can you see? So our cup is ready basically. So dear creatives, after cutting out, this is what we are having. We will not be needing the yolk, so we'll keep aside the yolk. Okay, so this is what we'll be using. This is our cup. Now it is straight together. I left it like this to show you something. In case you don't want to separate your cups, you can just start working on it like this. Okay, but for me, I want the cup separated. So I will separate it from the midpoint like this. Okay, like this. Then I'll just work on one alone using the slash and spread method to create fullness on the cup area. So after that, I will now transfer that one to fabric twice. Okay, so let me keep aside the cup and then talk about the main bodies. For the main bodies, as you can see, the dart is still here. We just slashed opened it earlier on. So now we'll now be cutting off the entire dart. Okay, for the bodies, I don't want to see any darts on my fabric. So I'll close the darts on the paper before transferring to fabric. So I'm cutting it off and then I'll use my masking tape now to close it. I've cut it off. So I'll be closing with my tape. I'll just mask it together. Okay, like this. And like this. So while cutting out, I'll be cutting out just one single piece on my fabric. Okay, I hope it's simple. So I'll be cutting this out as a single piece on my fabric. Let's keep it aside. And now it's time to draft our Milkmaid cup. Okay, so to achieve that, I don't know which one to use for the demonstration. Okay, let me use the already labeled one so that you know exactly what I'm doing. So what I'll do now, I will also remove the little dart that is left here. Okay, can you see? So it's because we transferred the side dart. That's why you can see an opening here. Okay, so the place is now very neat. And now it's time to insert our slash lines. So I will insert a slash line like this. Okay, then another slash line like this. I'm giving a space of 1 inch each. Okay, you can do 2, you can do more than that. So now after inserting the slash lines, let's close the dart and then measure what we are having there. Okay, so this is how to close the dart. Just watch me. Can you see? Simply close the darts like this. Okay, so the dart has been carefully closed. That has been closed, and now we know where we are stopping. Okay, the ruffles will stop here in the center front here and here. Then for the side, they will stop here. For the upper parts, they will stop there. This is the armhole area, right? Okay, so let's measure what we are having and compare with what we are having on the dress. Okay, can you see? Can you see? This is it. So it's perfect. Now let's measure what we are having so that by the time we are spreading out, we know what we are expecting to get. Okay, so from here to here we have 7 inches, and from here to here you need to curve your ruler, your tape measure at this point. You curve it a little So we are having 10 inches from here to here, from here to here 7. Okay, so for the under bust area to the armhole area is 10 inches. Then from the cleavage area to the armhole area for the upper bodies, for the over bust area is 7 inches. So bearing that in mind, let's proceed. So we are now slashing. So this is what we are having. Now we have this. What I would recommend here is for you to label them. Okay, so this is 1, 2. Now I'm done labeling. I have 6 in total. So what I'll do, I'll place another pattern paper under this and spread it out, okay, to get our fullness. So here is another pattern paper, the central line, so that I can place them equally, right? Okay, so this is our central line. Here is our central line. So what I'm simply doing, the second line here is aligning with this line, okay? So I'll tape this down. I'm placing them according to their numbers. So the second line, I'll be spacing it out with 1.5 inches. Now note that this 1.5 inches is not rigid, okay? You can do 2, you can even do 1. If you are very busty, you can go for 2, okay? This is what actually determines how full your bustier or your drapes will look like on your Milkmaid bustier. At this point, I will start placing. This is number 2. I'll place number 2 here. I'll make it to stay. Now, after placing number 3, I'll need to measure again, okay? I'm discarding what I marked earlier because after placing number 2, I'll need to mark again. So it is here, the space is 1.5, and I'm placing. Now it's time for number 4. The space is still 1.5. Now it's time for number 5. The space is still 1.5. The number 6, the space is 1.5. Okay. Okay. So this is it. Okay, so now we are having this. We have spread out our pattern. So just simply use your free hand, okay, and trace out the edges. Can you see? So we have traced out. Then on the down, we trace out in the same way. Okay, just trace out like this, and that's all. We are done tracing. Mind you, this part is our armhole, so I would like to indicate that with an arrow. After tracing and marking out, here is the armhole, so that transfer to fabric, you will not get confused. And this is the under bust. I like labeling a lot. Over bust, center front, CF, center front, right? Okay, so it's now time to cut out. Just follow the line and cut out accordingly. And here I'm done cutting out, and this is what I'm having. So this is our body, this is the center, okay, this is it. So we'll be inserting ruffles here to here. Then after we insert our ruffles, we want it to enter here and give us our Milkmaid. Then for the upper area to be ruffling the upper area. So that's all for the drafting. It's time to draft our back. For the back, is very easy. This is our basic bodice back, okay? So, and this is the bodies of our Milkmaid that we have drafted for the front. So what you simply do, you align this side, okay, to the side of the back, and we are here. So you will now mark this point. This is just what we want to take from this. Mark this point and keep this aside. Now we can decide to alter the back by taking it straight or giving it a curve, okay? For me, I'll work with the straight option because I don't want to deepen my back, okay? So straight. So after doing that, what I'll do, I will simply, I still do not want to see a dart at the back. So I'll extend this dart upwards and tighten that back a little. I'll mark a quarter of an inch on each side and link back to the dart. And here I'm simply marking 1/4 on each side. So in total, I'm tightening the upper back by half an inch, right? So this is it. This is it. And that's all. Remember, this is our back tightening for our basic bodies, okay? So for our zipper to lie flat. And for this tightening I did is for the bustier to hug me nicely in the upper bust area, okay? So now I will simply cut out the back. So this is it. I've cut out and I will simply close this dart, okay? I do not need anything here again. I'm working with just this for the back. Thin tape and close this dart together, knowing that I'm just working with one piece of paper like this. So now all my patterns are complete. Here is the front pattern and here is the back pattern, okay? Front and back. So we have our front and our back, and this is our cup, okay? In our next tutorial video, we'll be transferring to fabric and then sewing the Milkmaid bustier top. Also, we'll be learning how to make the virago sleeves. We'll be using both pattern drafting and the freehand method to achieve the sleeves. Watch out.